Hi, Father Phil here with video number 3 of 3, looking at our advanced techniques for creating a virtual choir. So in video 1, we took the organ video that we took on someone's phone, pardon me, and brought it into Audacity, multiplied it into 4 different tracks, and now we can change bass and treble and our ambiance as well. In our second video, I explained briefly the way that I record my voice to create a track to send to my singers. So my singers took that track and sung along with it. Today, in this video 3, I will bring each of their videos into Audacity and show you what I do to make the sound beautiful and cohesive, the beautiful choral sound that we're going for. So let's take a look here. Here we have up at the top our organ, and then we've got the recordings that I did. So now we're going to bring in my singers. It's hymn 158. So I'm going to hold down my control key so I can grab all of my 158s. All right. 158. 158. Okay. There's my singers. I'm going to click 1, hold it, drag them all in. This is how it works on a Mac anyway. I'm going to let go, and here each of them will be imported. Okay. So this one right here is the last one that I wonder if there's a way to make my face here so you can still see it. Let's see. Let's see how that works. So we've got here my voice. I muted the last one, so here's all of my different singers. First thing I'm going to do is go up to Edit or View, Track Size, Fit to Height. See if I can shrink those down. And I'm going to do a series of different alterations to each of these tracks, and I want to show you what those are. I have it set up as a macro. So let's look at our macro. I call it Apply Noise Reduction, but this is the whole series of the things that it's going to do when I do this one macro. The first thing it does is select the whole track, and that's because I start with getting the noise reduction, just a little bit, the sample, and then I do this macro. So the first thing it does is choose the whole track. The second thing it does is apply the noise reduction, and then normalize it to get the volume kind of correct. Then we're going to compress it, normalize, do a graphic EQ, normalize, and then set the track's gain to -18, and then set all of them to fit to height. That just makes things a little easier when I'm using it. So the key things here are noise reduction, compressor, graphic EQ. Compressor, these are the settings that I use, -20, -40, 10 to 1. That's, most people will say pretty high, but it seems to work really well for me. 0.2 seconds and 2 seconds. Compress based on peaks. This is also important. When I do the graphic EQ, this is what I have set up. So it's dropped off at 100. Nothing below 100 is being used. That's usually just rumble. And I have increased and decreased certain sound areas because I found that those sound best after a little bit of research. Your own choices may vary. This one right here is the bass line. So I think if I hover here, you can see this one is up 3. This one's -3, -4, again, even. These are probably up 1, up 3.9. That's interesting. Again. All right. So that's what's going to happen when I do the macro. So I'm going to grab a little piece, come up here to Effect, Noise Reduction, take my sample, and now I'm going to do the macro, which is Apply Macro, Applies Noise Reduction. Notice I also set it up as a hotkey, so I can just do a quick hotkey to activate it since I do it so many times. So I'm going to apply it, and you can watch these things happen. Applying noise reduction. Let's this one here. It did everything really fast. It's a fast computer. It did the compressor, it did the EQ, and you can tell because see how it's blocky there? Whereas these ones are all kind of small and spindly. What I'm going for is that blocky look. So here I'm going to do it again. And if you look under Effect Noise Reduction, see how I also set this up as a hotkey? Do you want to know how to do that? I can tell you how on a Mac. On a Mac, you'll go to System Preferences, Keyboard, then Shortcuts, then over here, App Shortcut, and here you have Audacity. And what you want to write here in this section is literally precisely down to the last character exactly what it says in the menu when you're using it. So even using the 3 dots. So apply noise reduction. Notice it's capital A, capital N, capital R. When we go in here and we do my macro is called apply noise reduction. So this is here in the menu, and so that's what I wrote here, apply noise reduction. Other ones like noise reduction ... that's because here under effect, notice it's noise reduction ... So you have to put it in exactly. But if you do, you can write what the menu item is and what you want, and I usually pick a pretty obscure thing, and then you can use those to become your new hotkeys. So what you'll notice is here I can activate noise reduction with command single quote, and then I can activate my macro with command left bracket. And if you look at your keyboard, those are both right here, right next to each other. So I can do command single thing, and then this one, and both of them right next to each other, easy to do, bust the whole thing out. So watch, check it out. I'll close that. So in this next one, I'm going to highlight something quiet, do command quote, which opens this, get noise profile, and now I'm going to do command left bracket, and it's going to do my whole deal. And remember, it's changing the thing because I have it, the last few sets of the macro are all tracks gain and then fit to height. I actually added view fit to height for each one, just because that way I don't have to do it once. Even though it does it a million times, at least it does it once. It again makes it faster for me because I'm doing this all the time. And now you can see this one is the one that's blocky. So I'm going to go to the next one. Command single quote, get noise profile, command left bracket, and you'll see it's going to be nice and big. And then we go to the next one. Get noise profile, and then I'm going to do the macro. Okay. Looks like I got 3 more to do. You can see why the macro makes it a lot faster. Trying to apply the graphic EQ, do the noise reduction, do the compressor for each one, for all of these, and then there's multiple songs. It really does save a lot of time to make yourself a macro. And you can see how it's filling up the sound really nicely. This is also getting everybody's volume to be really nice and equal, as though they're in the same room, shoulder to shoulder, all singing with the same power. As opposed to what they're actually doing, which is different microphones in different places with maybe different levels of passion, who knows. Okay, and now this last one, this person didn't leave me much quiet, but usually at the end there's some, so we'll do it at the end. Good. All right, so now that we've done that with all of them, I'm going to move them all to be roughly, whoops, they're all selected, so they all moved. So I'm just going to select this one, move it roughly there, select, move it. So here I'm trying to get them all lined up here. Grab this one, move it, this one. And don't worry about the noise at the beginning here. We're going to clean that up all at once. Again, it's going to make it a little faster. This is the advanced class here. So now I'm going to highlight using this bracket here, somewhere I'm going to look for where it looks like there's a lot of quarter notes that would be pretty easy to line up. I'm going to just highlight that section. See how I did that? Now when I go to zoom, it's only going to zoom to what I highlighted, which is very convenient. So we're going to zoom, and notice it's grabbing what I highlighted there and making it bigger and bigger. Maybe I'll do one more. Okay. And since I sung it 4 times, I'm looking for something where all of my singing is pretty much lines up. If I did it 4 times and it's pretty even, and this looks like a good spot, then everybody else will probably be pretty close too. So now I'm going back to the time shift, and let's get everybody so that this word, whatever it happens to be, is starting right there at the same spot. I have to look over here to see that, see how those are starting to line up nicely too. Okay, it's pretty close. Again, this one was off a little. Let's get these a little closer, and then we'll make these line up the way we want. Okay. See how that looks really nice? Like a set of train cars or something. So I'm going to open up my mixer board and mute my organ. So let's just listen to the voices now. Zoom out a couple of times. Holy Jesus, how hast thou offended? Pretty close. I'm gonna get it so I can see all of the singing at the same time. So let's scroll that a little bit. And can I make this go down any? I can see most of them there. Some of those are mine. And as we're singing, I'm going to zoom in once or twice, and I'm just going to look for somebody who might always be a little bit early or always be a little bit late, because what that means is I didn't line it up right, and I should actually tweak them just a little bit. So let's go ahead and hit play, zoom in. Jesus, how hast thou offended that man to charge thee hath in hate pretended, by foes derided, by thine own rejected, almost afflicted. Well, I think that sounds pretty good. I got lucky. Here's I'll try to find an example of, I don't know, let's say one was like this. Or it's, let's say it's like that. And just here they're a little early, here they're a little early, here they're a little early. As you start to go and you realize that, what you might want to do is just, even though the one section seemed right, maybe they were just off a little on that certain spot. You're going to take the data from all of them and say, it needs to go back a little bit. And you may need to go back and forth. And of course, if you zoom in a little bit more, that will also magnify the differences and give you, see here, now you can see certain people are ahead or behind. And that might let you tweak it a little bit more that way too. Here again, look, starting to get off just a little bit is because we zoomed in. As thy incarnation, thy mortal sorrow, and thy life's all right, this one here I'm going to move just a little. Oblation, thy death. Okay. So we've got that pretty tight. That actually is working out really good for us. So let's zoom out And we're going to clean up the before and after. So you can do multiple tracks for this by clean up before and after this sort of static on their recordings before. Okay, so I'm going to highlight and just come all the way down because everybody's starting at just about the right time. Come all the way to the beginning. And then remember we did edit, remove special, silence audio. But again, the keystroke here is Command L. That's going to be faster for you since you use this a lot. So I'll do this time, but I'm going to Command L it in a moment. Okay, those were mine. So we come here at the end. And here it. People end at different times, so I'm just going to clean up a few of these individually. Here's a little trick. Let's say somebody came out too far and this one isn't too bad. But what you could do is you could erase part of it by silencing it. And then this other part here, highlight just a little ways and go to Effect, Fade Out. And see what that did? It's going to give it a nice little point that's going to make it nicely fade out so that it's not kind of weird on the ear. I will undo those two because I don't think it's bad. And let's just hear these last few notes. Not my deserving. Well, that person might be going a little long, whoever that is. So maybe I'll just keep what I did there. Actually looks like one of mine is going a little long as well. Okay, not bad there. So that's not a bad sound. What we could do here is, remember we muted our organ. So here's all of our folks. We can go back here and start it. Let's see if I turn it down. And then I can tweak it here as we're listening. Usually you don't want to tweak it too much, but say you want a little more bass, you could push it up a couple. Sometimes I will turn up the alto just a little bit to get the richness of the harmony. Okay. But there's more we can do. And so this is the last step. Well, you can't see me here. There is more we can do. So here is the last step that I do to take it just to the next level. And what we're going to do is create a mixdown inside of Audacity. In an earlier video, like some months ago, I talked about exporting it and re-importing it. And it turns out you don't have to do that. So we're going to go under tracks and then do a mixdown and just take everything we've just heard, just the audio, and mix it all down to one track, just right there within Audacity. Then we're going to multiply that one in 4 parts, just like we did with the organ. And each of those 4 parts will have their own character. And and there at the end, we'll turn everybody else's voices mute, and we'll just use those 4 mixdown tracks to create the sound that we want to make. So stick with me, and this is the kind of the last chapter of what we're going to do with our choral voices. So what we want to do is select our first singer, and then I'm going to do Shift Select the last one that highlights them all. And then up here, Tracks, Mix, Mix and Render to New Track. And that's going to take all of them and create a new track. Watch this. You can solo it. It's still all the voices. So the first thing that I want to do is to, I use the Deesser. A lot of people have bad mics and their S's are just really bad. So first thing I'm going to do here is just clean up the S's a little bit. So it's down here under Deesser. And these are the settings that I have found work well. The defaults are kind of horrible. You might find something different works well for you, but this is what I use. Okay. So I'm going to apply that. This one actually takes a little bit of time. And what it's going to do is it's looking for, in the range, the frequency range that I gave it, it's looking for certain volumes because the S's will sort of peak. They'll be too loud. So you give it a frequency range, and then you're looking for a volume range, and ideally you can pick up a bunch of the S's and a bunch of the T's, and then it just lowers the volume of those particular parts. So there we go. We de-essed it. And now I'm going to go and do one. You know, I've started doing 5 mixdowns. Why don't I do that today? So we just did that one. I'm going to duplicate it. The second one now, I'm going to do reverb. This is what I use for reverb. Okay. Now I'm going to duplicate that one. Twice. So when we go to track size fit to height, in case I've lost you, this is the original mixdown, all right, that I de-essed. So everything else includes the de-ess. This one right here is the de-esser that I reverbed, and then I took this one and I duplicated it once, which made 2, but if you hit duplicate again, it duplicates both. So the second time I duplicated it, it resulted in 4 total, and that's what I want. So this first one's kind of clean, the clean mixdown just with the de-essing. The second one I'm going to leave is the just the reverb. The third one I make to a delay. Where's my delay? Here it is. This is what I use for delay. The fourth one, I use a chorus effect, BC Chorus 4. You can actually look that up. It's a plugin. So I use the chorus for Clean Chorus 3. And then I use my graphic EQ, and this is what I used for the organ. So this one's going to accentuate the low voices. And this last one I'm going to do the harmonics, just like I did with the organ, Harmonic Enhancer, which in the same settings, which is going to emphasize the high voices. Now the harmonic one does weird S's. So the last thing I do is I've created a macro that is just a de-esser, harmonic enhance only DS, because it needs it. It needs its special one. And this is what I use for that one. Remember, you don't have to do all these steps. I just want to show you what I do. Okay. So for this last one, I just harmoniced it. Now I'm going to run my macro. Did we do it? Apply macro. There we go. That's what I expected. Yeah, that harmonics, because the harmonic enhancer is just the high, and it really emphasizes the high. So even though I de-essed it earlier, anything that was even barely in the range, it pushes the S's up high again. So now I'm cleaning those down. This is the end of all of the work of processing. We've got now 5 mixdown tracks, a clean one, a reverb, a delay, a low, and a high, right? Those 5. And now I'm going to mix those just using my ear until I find something that sounds really nice. So let's go back to my view mixer board. I'm going to go to the end, and here's my 5 mixes. And let's just solo. And now if you unmute, I can now make all 5 of these work. So we'll go to, they're going to be extraordinarily loud, but let's get it started. And I'll move them all down to, let's say, 30. So let's listen to these. That's the reverb. Here's the delay. Here's low. And here's the high. You put them all together. So what's great about this is now we have the power that we wanted to have all along in Audacity, which is, I'm trying to find my face here, which is the power to be able to increase the lows, maybe increase the highs a little bit, turn up the reverb, turn down the delay, take the clean and move it down a little bit. And we created these so that we can change the adjustments and create exactly what we want to hear. So let's take a look at it. One thing I find is that the harmonic enhancer, that high one, really creates a kind of a sense of being close. Like you can hear the crispness of their voice, you can hear the air. It's kind of the airy, breathy, ethereal quality of the sound. Notice in a second I'll mute it and then bring it back, and you can hear it. Sometimes I go too far with it and I hear it later and think, oh, I pushed it too far, but I was just really enjoying that sound. Today it's interesting. It almost seems like it sounds great, all of it across at 30, which is pretty rare, but that's just how it's going to work out for you. Let me mute that harmonic for you, though, so you can hear the difference. So this one sounds amazing a cappella, and you may want to leave it at that. But let's bring in our organ for the final step. So we're going to come back here to the beginning and unmute. In this case, it appears that I only did it 3 times with the organ. Let's see. So that's the open sort of kind of reverberating one. This is low, and this is the normal. So I don't have the high one here. That's okay. I have found that for me myself, the low one does not need a whole lot of boosting. It'll just sort of mess up people's small computer speakers. So I'm going to lower that one. Here's what I usually do. So this first one is the big resounding. Okay, here's my face. The first one's the big resounding. The second one's the low, and the third one is the straight. And if I had a fourth one, that would be like the highs, which again, the highs and the lows don't tend to need to be boosted too much with the organ, I've found. So I'm going to take the low, which is the second one, and drop it here. I'm going to take the big one with presence, move it up to 18, and we'll take the straight kind of clean one with no reverb or anything and put that at 30. And let's see how that sounds. See the difference? Take out the low. All right, and let's make sure our singing is going to happen. You think the organ's a little bit loud? Let me turn that down a little bit. Just let it finish. Pretty nice, huh? Hey, look, I'm a priest. I'm not a audio mixer. There may be fundamental things that I'm missing or certain things that are out of whack. This is just what I've put together over the past year of pandemic, and it seems to work pretty well. With some of those hot keys and with muscle memory, it doesn't take too long to do it. In fact, it ends up being one of my favorite parts of the week. It's meditative, it's beautiful, it's creative, and it's kind of fun to use the technology. So, hey, I'm sorry if some parts of this may have been too long, but this is the advanced class. I hope that you enjoyed it at least. And remember, you don't have to do all of these things. I do think that a compressor helps. I think the noise reduction is important. A little bit of EQ is nice. Little reverb, little delay also sound good. Mix it up. See what you can do with your own creativity. And if you'd like to look for me, you can also send me an email or even give me a call, and I'd be glad to talk to you about whatever it is you might be working on. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I've got work to do. It's Holy Week. God bless you guys. Take care.